to our Sydney day trip. We started off our journey early in the morning. Shale drove up and met me at the Jervis Bay turnoff, and we took my car and drove to Waterfall train station, where we caught the train into the city. It was super convenient to drive to Waterfall because there was plenty of parking. Unfortunately, however, we did miss the train that came through from Wollongong, which had limited stops all the way to Central, and meant that we ended up having to catch the train that stopped at literally every station all the way into the city, which did significantly lengthen out our journey to Sydney. Once we arrived at Central, our first stop of the day definitely needed to be to get something to eat. At this point, we hadn't had any breakfast and were quite hungry. Mum had told us about a cute little cafe called Joe Black that she had stopped in at one time she was up in the city, and recommended that for us to go to for breakfast. It was just a short walk up the hill from the train station, so it seemed like an ideal location, especially considering at this point it was quite dreary and rainy, so we were looking forward to getting something to warm us up and perk us up for the day. When we went inside, it was very aesthetic and trendy looking, with a whole heap of plants and sort of a cute atmosphere. We didn't want to stay, however, because time had kind of gotten away from us. So we instead grabbed ourselves some takeaway coffees and cakes and headed up to Hyde Park to have a makeshift brunch underneath the trees. They said that there is a 20% chance that it will be raining at the moment, but it is 100% raining at the moment. We are looking for a little bit of a break so we can get out and do a little bit more wandering. But so far we've got ourselves a morning snack and are just cruising through Hyde Park, and we're going to go down to, where'd you say? Town Hall. We moseyed through the shopping streets and took the Pitt Street Mall Westfield entrance to get us to the Queen Victoria building, which I'd never been to before, but I loved the decor on the floors, and our primary purpose for going in there was to go to Lush. Both Shale and I bought ourselves a few things, and then we continued through the Queen Victoria building to get us to the Town Hall train station, where we could mosey on to our next stop. There we are, that's better. Okay, so we took the train to Green Square. We want to go to the grounds of Alexandria, and honestly there's just nothing out here other than the grounds. We're quite literally walking through what seems to be an industrial area at the moment. Hopefully we're going in the right direction, and we'll show you around when we get there. We're starting to reach an area that's looking a little bit more civilized. We're gaining some hope that we're going in the right direction and that we haven't just wasted our time coming out here. I can thankfully report that it certainly was not a waste of time coming out to Alexandria. We got to the grounds and Shale had booked us a reservation for lunch at the potting shed, which was beautifully decorated. It had plants everywhere hanging from the ceiling. It was like having lunch in a greenhouse. A very cute atmosphere, very aesthetic and great for some photos, which we managed to get. We got ourselves both some drinks, and then I got the spring salad and Shale grabbed a burger and some chips. And when we saw our plates, we thought, okay, yes, we can do this. But honestly, after our little mid-morning snack, we were struggling to get through the meals. But I can report, however, that both the drinks and the meals were fantastic. There are a number of places to eat at the grounds, not just the potting shed. However, I would definitely recommend there if you want to have like a more of a sit-down lunch. They also had a resident macaw, which I definitely had to get a photo with before we left. They also have this lovely walkway, which they kind of decorate for every season. And I was very happy that they still had all of the Christmas decor up and it was like walking through a winter wonderland. This is another section that you can eat in as well. And even though they had this chicken coop here, they didn't have chooks in the chook house. They had goats, which was super cute to check out as well. We made our way continuing along the Christmas Winter Wonderland walkway and found ourselves at a beautiful florist, which if you had given me half a chance, I would have bought most of the flowers. They had lots of spots that you could take some photos. I love this Christmas tree with the naughty or nice and the big baskets of coal there as well. We are so full from lunch. I think we can both attest that despite kind of being close to nothing, I'm glad that we went out to the grounds. It was beautiful. All those Christmas decorations. You know I'm a fan of a nutcracker. So that was a great moment for me. On to our next destination. As we were making our way back to the train station, we called into this antique shop for a little look. However, we were immediately overwhelmed with how large the space was and how many things were inside. You could honestly spend hours just perusing around it. We didn't buy anything, however, and instead headed back to the station where we took another train back to Central and started walking in the opposite direction from our morning trek to head out to Glebe markets for a little look around. At this point, we've already done a fair bit of walking, and I've got to say, even though the walk out to Glebe probably wasn't that long, by the time we got out there, checked out the markets which are held at the local primary school, and then walked back, our feet and our legs were absolutely killing us, and we were actually quite happy to hop on another train. On the way back to Central, I spotted a Starbucks and headed in to grab a coffee for two reasons. One, I did need an afternoon pick-me-up, but also two, I wanted to order myself a vanilla sweet cream cold brew so that I could live my best American YouTuber life, and it was delicious. We are living our best train life today. We're train experts now. We couldn't leave the city without visiting the icons, so this time we headed down to Circular Quay, which at this point the sun had come out. It was a very humid day and the quay was packed, but we still managed to get some photos in front of the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House and sit down for a moment and enjoy the beautiful scenery. So we caught the train down to Circular Quay and got our mandatory photo with the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge, and now we're just having a wander through the Botanic Gardens. When Captain James Cook sailed into Botany Bay in Sydney Harbour in 1776, he inaccurately proclaimed Australia terra nullius. Not only did this deny the tens of thousands of years of Aboriginal occupation in Australia, their beliefs, culture and connection to country, but it also spurred on centuries of attempted cultural genocide, the effects of which are still evident in the intergenerational trauma witnessed today. Being in Sydney reminds me of the impacts of colonisation, and I pay respects to the traditional owners whose land I'm walking today. I acknowledge that this land was, is and always will be Aboriginal land. Shale brings me to this like abandoned looking location, and it's actually a bar.
So you thought you got it made for easy living, slipping out the back door. But it's not what you're made for, and there's nothing that is too late for.
So honestly, when Shale showed me this door, I was like, oh no, Shale, they've closed down. But I didn't realize it was a secret location. I cannot reveal its street address to you for those reasons. But we had a good time. I ate an entire bowl full of nuts. They were delicious, and got myself a pear cider. They were out of apple, but the pear was delightful as well. And we're back at Central. At this point, we were very happy to get back on yet another train after having done 25,000 steps and walking 9.5 kilometers. It's 6:45 and we just arrived back at Waterfall Station, and our journey home is not finished yet. We still have at least like 2.5 hours worth of driving to do. So already we've been up and at it for like 12 hours. It has been a full-on day, but I hope you have enjoyed coming along this Sydney day trip with us. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. I put out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. With that being said, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.